Hello, this is Dr. Flight, and we have a segment here that is focused on brand strategies. So these are branding strategies that you might use with multiple products in product lines and product assortments, and how you might use a corporate brand to be for all different brand products that you have under one grouping, or you could use multiple brand names for multiple products. So there's a whole variety of product branding strategies that also include co-branding, global branding strategies, ingredient branding, private labels, and so forth. So this segment reviews a number of different branding strategies that you could use as you're launching new products and introducing new products to existing product lines that you already have. We're going to take a look at different branding strategies that are available to us and are commonly used as we think about a number of different products that might be branded all together as a family of products, or even individually as well. One strategy is something called the umbrella branding strategy, and this strategy is one where you use a single name, and you will have multiple products and even multiple product lines that are available under that one name. The deal with this is you have greater ability to build awareness if you use just one single brand. One of the challenges is if you have one unperforming or underperforming product, it has the ability to actually hinder or damage your other product sales, because other products will be associated with the failing product via the name that you've used. So Kellogg's and Kraft both use this, or there are lots of companies that use this. These are just a couple examples, but Kellogg's may use its corporate name in conjunction with other names for its other products. So we have a lot of different cereals which have their own brand name. They have their own name in and of themselves, but they're labeled Kellogg's first. So it's a Kellogg's name, and then there's the cereal name. Kraft may use this. We have Kraft macaroni and cheese, Kraft mayonnaise. We have all the different Kraft salad dressings. So Kraft can use this at times as well. So that would be a deal where we have a corporate name, it's used and it's incorporated into the names of multiple products. Subsequent product introductions then tend to be more readily accepted by the marketplace if you use a consistent name over and over and over again. So when Kellogg has a new cereal come out, they call it Kellogg's whatever. That new cereal that comes out, people will associate the name with the experience they've had with Kellogg in the past. So the idea is the new product that is launched should be more readily or quickly accepted in the marketplace. So this drives higher initial awareness levels as well, and ultimately leads to stronger financial outcomes for the company. So that's certainly a possibility there. But like I said, the downside is that when one product fails, it has the potential of contaminating or hurting other products that bear the same name as well. Another strategy, if not an umbrella strategy, is something called an individual branding strategy, or sometimes referred to as a house of brands approach. In this case, what we're going to do is have a series of products, and this will especially be true if you have multiple product lines. So if you have different products you offer, and they're truly different products from each other, what you'll do is you'll choose a different name for each product line that you have. So Procter & Gamble has many different types of products that they sell. And so each different product type will very often have a different, or does typically have a different name associated with it. So we have cleaning detergents, we have, for laundry, for dishwasher, we have Mr. Clean, and so on and so forth. If you think about all the different, Procter & Gamble has so many products. I mean, diapers and everything else, right? So every different product that they have has a product line, but the product line itself is rebranded as its own type of a product. They even have competing products. So they have different clothing detergent like Tide and All and things like that. They have different detergents out there that compete against each other. Another example of this would be General Motors. For years and years and years, they had multiple product lines, all with different competing products. So we had Chevy competing with Pontiac, GMC, and so on, Corvette, and so on and so forth. They had all these different product lines, Oldsmobile, Buick, Saturn. I mean, they had dozens of different product lines virtually competing against each other, and they used an individual branding strategy or a house of brands approach in doing this. Clorox is another example. Clorox has tons of different cleaning agents, cleaning products. They also, though, the Clorox Corporation also owns Burt's Bees, Hidden Valley, so another salad dressing and such, and also KC Masterpiece. So clearly they wouldn't want to call their Burt's Bees lip balm like Clorox lip balm or Clorox Hidden Valley ranch dressing or Clorox Masterpiece barbecue sauce. That would make a lot of sense. I mean, right? So they use different names and disassociate their brands from each other. So this solves one of the issues that you deal with. If we have one brand that underperforms or performs negatively, then it's not necessarily going to impact the performance of other brands. You can also reach multiple and very diverse market segments by doing this. In the Clorox example, Burt's Bees is thought of as a very natural kind of product. It was originally produced by a couple people up in Maine, kind of hippie-ish type naturalists, really, nice folks. But people that you would absolutely not associate with a heavy-duty chemical company. And so in order to separate the markets, they have to have some type of an individual branding strategy associated with this. Now, I will say this, that doing this type of strategy is more expensive and it costs a lot more money because you're individually branding your different divisions within your company. And each different division then has a cost associated with it as a result of the branding efforts that you have. Okay, so those are two very distinctive branding strategies that companies will use as they're developing their product lines and launching new products in particular. We also have brand extensions. So extensions of brands happen in two different directions. One, we could have a product and then we could produce another version of the product. So it could be like we have a product that is like one capacity and it is one version, maybe it's one color scheme or whatnot, and then we offer another product that's very similar. Maybe it works a little bit faster or it comes in different colors, and so we change it and we extend the product a little bit that way. In that sense, we're talking about a line extension. So that'd be a line extension of a product, and we again use the same name because we want to take advantage of the brand equity we've developed in that name. Another idea is to use a category extension where we take our product and then we have another product that we launch that's similar, maybe, but in a different product category. So Coach handbags. Coach is a retailer. They have their handbag line. They also have sunglasses, and they also have belts and accessories that might go with handbags, and so on. And so what they've done is they've extended their product assortment through different categories, but they've kept the name all the way through. So brand extensions, either from a categories perspective, so across different product categories, or down a line, could be used when we're taking a brand and we're leveraging the brand name in order to launch some new product that we want to in a new direction. Another couple types of different branding techniques deal with co-branding. Co-branding is when we take two brands and bring them together. Okay, and there's a few different ways we can do this. So when we co-brand, we're going to like the Nike ID product where we have Nike running shoes, but inside the running shoe we have a little chip that works with your Apple phone. And in this case, we've got a collaboration between two companies to create a product. This may be a joint venture or it may not be. Sometimes we have product co-branding activities where we have ingredient branding, where we have a primary product, and then within the primary product we use a secondary brand. So we might have Breyer's ice cream that has M&Ms in it. And so the parent brand is Breyer's. You're buying the ice cream, but you're getting the secondary brand, the M&Ms with it, or sometimes it's the child brand or the secondary brand that's associated now with the parent brand, which would have been the ice cream in this case. Or if you stay at a Hyatt hotel and they have a Starbucks coffee shop in the atrium area, or in this case here American Airlines that serves Starbucks coffee, you've got a parent brand and then an ingredient brand along with it. It used to be Dell computers with Intel processors. That's another example of an ingredient branding type of a situation. So we have co-branding, which often comes together in a joint venture where we're creating a new product as the result of two brands coming together with technologies that complement each other. Then we have an ingredient branding where we often have a subservient brand to a parent brand, one coming into another. Another type of branding that we might have, it's not so much co-branding, but something called self-branding. Self-branding, it's a deal where you create a brand within a brand. You create a brand within a brand. So the branding of a product, but then within the product you create a proprietary device or a proprietary ingredient or a proprietary process, and then brand that process or brand that ingredient. So here's an example of Tide detergent. So this is a laundry detergent, Tide laundry detergent, that has a specific scent or smell that is created by Tide, and it's their smell, and they've called it Everfresh. So it's the Everfresh version of Tide detergent. And then what they can do is they can create all kinds of other products that have the Everfresh scent. So they could use deodorizers, they could do, I don't know, any other product that Tide might have. They could include a version of that product in the Everfresh scent. And so it's called self-branding when you create a brand within a brand like this. And it's a co-branding concept, but it's not a case where you're using a brand outside your original company per se. Okay, so that's that deal with co-branding. Other branding strategies we can talk about: store branding or private labeling. So if you go into a store and you see a generic, what we call generic brand, or the store's version of the product, we sometimes call this, well, it's called product label branding, private label branding. This is a way for products to be on the shelf at a lower price point for retailers. The retailers still have the regular manufacturers produce the product, but in the packaging stage, they have the product packaged for their specific brand. So Archer Farms is a private label for Target. Costco's has Kirkland Signature. Kroger's has private selection. Walmart has had the true value or the low value or the value brand that they've created, and they've changed a couple times as far as that goes. But it's a way for retailers to offer quality, a product at a lower price. And they're not going to advertise this. This isn't going to be advertising, and the distribution will only be through the retailer that has the label, right? So distribution is going to be very, very tightly controlled. It's not going to be a lot of advertising associated with this. It's going to be a low cost type of a thing. And the other aspect is whoever is creating the private label is buying the product from a manufacturer. The manufacturer likes to do this simply because it drives up their production capacity. So even though like there's a local dairy, a dairy company, and they have a cheese that they sell, and they sell it under their name, and then maybe Walmart comes in and they want to put their private label on it. That local dairy may be willing to do that, even though that product's going to compete directly with theirs on the shelf. They may be willing to do this because as soon as Walmart places an order, their production capacity goes, their level of production has to go way, way up, which ultimately lowers their costs per unit. So all of the units they produce end up costing less for them to produce because their production levels and scales of economy are so much higher. So private labeling is an interesting device that can be used for a whole number of different reasons. A couple other issues we'll just review and kind of talk about. Branding globally is a big deal. So if you have a domestic product that you want to bring to an international market, there are some certain things that you're going to have to deal with. One would be a concept called standardization. And this notion is that you keep the product the same and the product doesn't really vary or change across all of the different markets that you sell. So it's like a breadth strategy where you use one product in multiple products in multiple markets, and you assume that that product in a standardized form will work. What we probably want to end up doing is making some forms of adaptation, though, to the product in order to meet local market demands. So just because the product works here in one domestic market, the odds that it is going to work somewhere else and without any change or adaptation is probably not going to happen. So we want to adapt the product, at least in its positioning, and maybe in other ways as well. So we could sell similar cameras like Canon does or similar products, but in the advertising and the positioning, we're going to have to be sensitive to local markets and how the product would best be perceived to them. So this would involve a ton of market research. It will probably require a local contact or local agency to handle the distribution of the product and provide advice as to how we need to adapt the positioning of the product to a local market. Another concept here is the adaptation of the brand itself. So we have the adaptation of the positioning, but then if we take our product and we change the brand name, or change the imagery of it to reflect a local context, it might be much more appealing, and people in that current local market will feel like the product is more for them. It's more built for their interests and tastes if it's rebranded to be a local product. So there's the adaptation and positioning in terms of how we sell the product to people, and that should change and be different by market. Then there's the adaptation of the brand, which says we may even change the name of it, or the look, or the image, or the elements of the actual brand to reflect something that's unique to the actual market that it's going into. Generally speaking, we sometimes call this glocalization, where we want to have some standardized process for the product to be produced. So standardization drops cost, it lowers our cost, but it doesn't best serve the customer. So what we want to do is we want to standardize the product as much as we possibly can, but then localize it in order to sell the product to a local market. So brand locally but manufacture globally is the concept then of localization. Here's an example of some of these adaptations. Unilever makes tons and tons of consumer durable products or non-durable products, so consumer goods. So Unilever is a huge company in lots and lots and lots and lots of different markets and products areas. They have a policy where some of their products are sold by the same name no matter where you are in the world. So things like Lipton and Bertolli and Knorr and Dove and Vaseline, those are products that have very little difference in them and no difference in terms of name and such. However, other products, they clearly change the name based on the location. So we have different household cleaners, again, Unilever products, but they adapt the name of the product to the different area and different location where they are. So we have Cif and Vis and Vim are the household cleaners, similar household cleaners, but using different names. So we have a different branding process that goes on with them. We also have Snuggle, the fabric softener in the US. The same thing, we're changed the name, so that's a different branding approach that's used for different markets that it may be under. And then also Unilever also owns a whole bunch of, again, like I said, consumer goods, ice cream brands that function around the world, but even though they own them, it's a global network of products. They localize the actual names very specifically to local markets. So name, brand, positioning, adaptations might be a requirement for your product. But then again, depending on how much brand appeal you have, it might be better to keep your product's name intact overall. So lots of different options when we go global, and it's a very, very challenging decision as far as where we go with that. The last thing we'll mention formally here is the idea of brand communities. So brand communities are groups of consumers that are extremely passionate about a product. And brand communities are important because it is a way we communicate with our market. So if we have or we know about a group of consumers that are excited about our brand and they can talk to each other, then like through some social media network or through a community group or whatnot, then they can talk to each other about our product and they can share similarities with each other, but then also we can listen into them. We can listen in to their conversations and we can better understand how our consumers are thinking because they're able to talk to each other and so on. So brand communities is another concept that is important moving forward. And you may already be familiar with the idea of a brand community, but it's something that we certainly want to develop as we think about branding strategies. So as we wrap this up, mentioned umbrella branding, individual branding, or the house of brands approach. Then we talked about co-branding, private label branding, global branding, and this whole idea of adaptive branding in a global sense. And then I also mentioned a little bit about brand communities.